Hello there, friendos. It's your old pal Chad Dukes, and this is my producer, Gigantor. If you're liking what you're seeing here on the Chad Dukes Show YouTube channel, well, we sure would love it if you'd click like on this video, then maybe hit subscribe. Hit that little bell thing. Isn't that what you do? You hit the bell, and then we spam your phone. We sure would appreciate it. And if you don't want to do that, well, then don't. Those seem to be the options. Take care. They certainly are, friendos. Welcome, everybody, to the Chad Dukes Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, big shooter on, well, formerly on the radio. Then I was fired so fired. Now I'm screaming into the internet, as everyone seems to do. Big verbal nod to the pie tasters and this tremendous theme song, the nickel size skank. We got plenty to get to. Today is your free episode. It is your appetizer sampler. It's your extreme fajitas, your jalapeno poppers, your pizza shooters, all that good stuff. Potato skins. This is what you're missing by not subscribing to the Chad Dukes Show. So you can get us each and every day. Go to ChadDukesShow.com, subscribe. Listen, cancel the WWE Network, cancel Amazon Prime, cancel Netflix, cancel Hulu, cancel Peacock. I mean, how many goddamn subscriptions do you need? You need one. This show, ChadDukesShow.com. Subscribe today. I'm joined, as I always am, by my executive producer, Tor. His Christian name is Gigantor. And as we learned on Thursday's episode, Tor had unprotected sex this week. So big ups to him. That's a big deal. Tor, good to have you on the show, as always, bud.
Thank you. You see, maybe we're missing something in the story here.
Well, the story is a girl called you, and you drove to her house in Winchester and had sex without a bag, right?
I had to use 2 bags.
You used, oh no, she was an unattractive young lady?
No, it was 1 bag used, and then
over the head?
No, twice. I used
You put 2 bags on her head?
No. 1 bag was used until filled, and then second bag.
Stop! Don't ever say filled ever again. I'm gonna puke. Oh, how are we gonna get people to listen to this show? You're gonna start with filled. You're disgusting. All right, I'd like to apologize for that to all of our wonderful listeners. This is the friendly one. This is the one that gets the people indoctrinated, for God's sakes. Oh God, filled. Ugh. Anyway, here's how it goes. On Fridays, this is not clearly the best of the week, what just is happening right now. It's not even close to that. What we like to do is we like to give you a little sample, right? You dip your toe in the water of what the show was like this week. We had a kick-ass show this week. We had Erik Nagel on. E to the Rock was on the show. Sean Salisbury was on the show. Jason Mosier from the Motley Fool was on the show. We did the Body Mass Index. We did Ask Shoot with our mailbag segment. All that fun stuff. We did a bunch of great segments. You're going to hear some of that today. Had a little discussion on arcades and kind of what arcades have meant to us over the years. You're going to get a little taste of Salisbury on the show. He's always just an 11 out of 10. And I've said this a couple of times. For whatever reason, Sean Salisbury openly being profane, cursing, hurling invective on our show, which he can do because we're clearly not on the radio. People really seem to respond to that, Tor. They really seem to dig it. You'll get a little taste of that here. And then, as we mentioned, Erik Nagel was on the show. He was very upset that Optimus Prime had lips in the Transformers movie. And Tor, you still stand by that the Transformers with Shia LaBeouf you think it's the best movie that's ever been made?
Okay. Yes. No, not the best movie that's ever. That's Blood Diamond.
Blood Diamond is the best movie that's ever been made?
Well, it's my favorite.
It's not a bad movie. I dig Blood Diamond. There's probably 6 Leonardo DiCaprio movies I like more than that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can understand the reason with that. But the Transformers movie, Iraq, I saw it when I was in 7th grade when it was super cool and they were fighting robots, where I had previously come from the cartoons, and now I know you're all hung up about the bass and the sound effects, but No, it was a cool movie with big fighting robots with pretty good graphics.
Right, but have you seen Pacific Rim?
No.
And graphics are not what we call them. We call them special effects. We're going to get you where you need to be. Look, here's all that matters is that you expose yourself to the herpes simplex and you potentially have fathered a child this week. Okay. And that's all. I'm excited for you, man. It's good news. And you were moving in the right direction with where you're at in your trajectory tour. So all that will be taking place. Super Bowl coming up. Very excited for that. Let's see. It's Friday. So you know what that means, Tor. After people are done listening to this, well, they need to get their drinking shoes on because the Friday night hootenanny is right around the corner. And you say, Dukes, what's that? Well, all you need to learn is in the confines, all you need to know is in the confines of this melodious tune. Going to tell you everything you need right here. All the information you could possibly process. The great Sonny Ledford. Letting you know what to expect tonight at 7 p.m. on Facebook.
It's a Chad Duke Show. Friday night, hootenanny Chad Duke Show. Friday night, hootenanny Chad Duke Show. Friday night, hootenanny, let's all get fucked up.
Facebook Live.
It's a Chad Duke Show. Friday night,
7 p.m.
Chad Duke Show. Friday night,
yeah.
Chad Duke Show. Friday night, hootenanny, let's all get fucked up.
Let's all get fucked up together. You just go to facebook.com/Chad Dukes Show, and you can watch right there for free. Right there. Of course, subscribers can listen to the hootenanny whenever they like on ChadDukesShow.com. But all of you takers, you skinflints, chintzy bastards, you just go on over to facebook.com/Chad Dukes Show, and you can watch the hootenanny tonight at 7 p.m. live. And Tori, you're not going to be there, which is somewhat troubling, but a lot of other people will be because we are doing Bourbons of the Round Table 2, which is going to be a hootenanny. Can't wait for that. But you're actually working tonight, is that correct, Tor?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed. I will be watching the hootenanny at work.
You're not going to be roping loads?
No.
Because that's what you've been doing the past few nights, right? You're just sending arcing tendrils across some poor girl's bedroom. Yeah, well, I'm not unhappy about it either. So, you think that you're making me proud over here or you're not? I'm sending you out into the world, for God's sakes. All right. Oh, that's fun. Well, let's start with this, Tor. How about we start with a little E to the Rock, huh? Erik Nagel coming on from It's Erik Nagel. Of course, hosts Would You Kindly. He's on iHeartRadio. He's on Compound. Where isn't he? Former executive producer of the Opie and Anthony Show and good friend of this program. Always fun getting him on. We'll have him on. We'll have Sean Salisbury on. We'll talk some arcades. We'll do it all right here on the Chad Dukes Show. It's the Chad Dukes Show. Good looking Monday to you out there, everybody. Always appreciate you subscribing and listening. Always appreciate my buddy Erik Nagel to the Rock joining me, of course. Host of It's Erik Nagel, iHeartRadio, all over the place. You can listen to that. And Would You Kindly on Compound Media. He's got many irons in the fire, as he always does. Erik, thanks so much for jumping on the show, buddy. Great to catch up with you.
Hi, Chad. It's been a long time.
It has. It hasn't been that long that we've been in conversations. I've mentioned this on the show many times, but you've been very helpful and instrumental, and we would not have gotten to this point with the show without your expertise. And you actually came down here and toured the facility and gave us some good pointers. So greatly appreciate you sharing all of your insight with the radio program.
No, it's great. I'm always there to help other people out and make money that I'm not making. It's fantastic.
Such is life. Such is always the case. Well, I ain't retiring anytime soon, my friend. If I could keep the power of the internet on this pile of shit, pretty much will be good to go. How are things at Compound Media, my friend? I feel like sometimes you're herding rabbits over there.
Things are, they're never easy, and there's never a dull moment. There has been some slowdown since the inauguration and the new president coming in. So now everybody's kind of, I think, politicized out. They're back down to a lower level of anger over politics than everything being so extreme because of any slightest thing happening in the news, political, vaccine, COVID, any of that stuff. Everybody is all in an uproar. And now after all this stuff, you still have angry people on every side, but I think they've kind of dropped down a couple of ticks because everyone's just going to die. If they're not dying from the COVID, they're dying from stress and a heart attack.
I'm with you, man. It's just, I mean, it's almost like eating too many cookies. You know, like I love cookies, but after the 12th one, you're like, I have to have something that isn't sugar. And I just I don't think you can live that way. That's kind of why, I mean, I spoke to you about this, but it's kind of the direction I'm heading in with this show. Like on Boat or other places, we'd talk about, you know, politics the way we talk about any of the current event, but I just don't know how much people are looking for it. Man, I know it's different with the network you work for, but I just feel like people are more desperate than ever to have some place to go where they're not going to get screamed at by one side or the other, where they can maybe just have a laugh or, you know, turn their brain off for a little bit. I think that's become more valuable than maybe it ever has.
It has. It's weird because I do 2 different shows on 2 different networks. I have the radio show, it's Erik Nagel on iHeart, and I have Would You Kindly on Compound. And for some reason, and this has been going on for the past year, I can't please anybody.
Right.
So on the iHeart side, they think I'm too conservative. On the Compound side, they think I'm way too liberal and not conservative enough. So I'm like, do I switch the shows and the platforms? Do I give up altogether? Or do I just go guns and blazing and take them all out in one shot? Everybody just wants to be upset over things. I'm starting to see a little decrease. Everyone's now just focusing on getting vaccines done and when is that happening and just getting back to some sense of living a life again. That seems to be the main focus this year instead of the political outrage and everything that happened last year. And shows like yours, shows like mine, where we don't delve into this much anymore. We'll talk about it if it's such a major news topic for the day, you have to give a little mention of it. But then you move quickly into shit you found in the supermarket or this new thing that just came on HBO Max or some new DLC that they're charging you $1 million to buy in-game cosmetic features in order to further advance in the video game. That's the stuff that I know I love talking about. I know the stuff that you love talking about. And I think that's why shows like ours were undervalued for a little while. But I think now they're going to start seeking things like this out because, like, hey, they're not really going to the paint with politics. They're not going on racial issues. They're not going on social class issues and everything. That I know you're doing your new your BMI feature on there.
Yeah,
which can relate to almost everybody. Everyone loves fast food and loves restaurants and all that stuff. So they're going to seek that out and go, these people are just having a dumb, fun conversation about things that like adults normally wouldn't talk about, or for some reason they feel ashamed to talk about. But you're like, no, we're going to discuss this as if this is, a breaking news feature that's on any of the cable news network things, because this is important to my life and your life, and this should be important in your life instead of all that other shit. So what you're doing and what you've put together, I just switched this all about you. I'm going to kiss your ass for a second. Swifting this all back to you.
Thank you.
What you're doing now is this is what needs to be done. This is in the vein of the talk radio that I grew up with, that you grew up with, that we all love. Doesn't exist anywhere anymore, and now people are going to refine this stuff and go, yeah, you know what? I want to have fun again. I want to have, I want to make jokes about things without somebody saying, oh, you can't say that because that's offensive, or you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. Sometimes your feelings need to be hurt, and sometimes you need to have a laugh like this. So what you're doing now, that you're not doing all sports anymore, you can be more of what you want to be with this stuff. It is amazing. Go ahead, before you go into that, I want to ask you a quick thing because you love talking about movies. And
I do.
I think I'm about an episode behind on your show. I've been catching up. So you have young Gigantor.
Gigantor is Christian name, yes.
Right, the space age robot. And he was talking about how he never saw Scarface.
Yes.
And you were a little surprised from that. And I'm not really that surprised by it because you hit the nail on the head. Like in the late 90s through the 2000s, every rapper thought that Scarface had to be the thing of the picture of success. That's what they had to replicate in their videos, in their lifestyle, their wardrobe, whatever. I know you love the movie. I know it's very it's a very cheesy movie if you look at it, but the ending, the gun scenes at the end is something to behold. But I never thought it was that great a movie to begin with. I thought it just had some kind of resurgence because Black culture kind of discovered it later on and then adopted it and infused it with what it did. So then I think people thought it was cool because hip hop was embracing it.
Could be.
And it's about as campy as the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because I don't like that movie either. And I know a lot of people love that and they go to.
You're comparing Scarface to the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
As far as campiness and shitty production, yes, I am.
You're out of your fucking mind. Look, it's no secret. When rappers decide something is cool, it becomes cool. I mean, that was when I was young, that was the case. And it's probably even more so now because rock and roll is fucking dead. Like every other, I feel like everything now is hip hop. And so it's even more influential.
Even hip hop's kind of going the way because it's mutated into so many other things. It's not even hip hop anymore. Like,
but the culture, like the sneaker culture, everything involved with hip hop, dance, it's now mainstream. Like it's rock and roll now. Like whatever rock and roll was in the 70s, it, you know, and it turned into something else. Exactly. Okay, I understand that. And I understand when people say, hey, I just felt like I was beaten over the head with Scarf. I remember walking in Springfield Mall and there'd be those poster shops and 60% of the posters on the wall were either Scarface or The Godfather. Yeah.
I remember seeing them up in college too. If they didn't have the fucking John Belushi or the Einstein posters up on their wall, they had the Scarface posters that you were getting from like Suncoast Video and stealing from a Blockbuster or something like that. I never got into it. Like I never saw it. It's very cartoony, very comic booky in a way, so I should like it. But the level of appreciation people have for that movie, I just have not hit that level. I don't think it's that great a movie.
Maybe there's a lot. It's interesting because I know how much it gets.
That's why people like it.
Well, it gets. I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that. You also, though, I mean, Eric, you were on a show where Anthony and Norton would bring up Scarface on a daily basis. Like,
I knew what it was.
Right. I just don't know if there might be blowback from that too. Like when I was in sports talk. The motherfuckers, as soon as we would go to break, they would go out into the outer vestibule and they'd start screaming about sports. Like the update anchor would come out of the studio, all the producers would walk out, all the hosts, and they would just start screaming about the shit they were just screaming about on the air, and I wanted to fucking hang myself. What I'm saying is there could be also a hangover from you hearing that shit for 5 hours a day and being like, ugh, I don't want to watch this. I'm going to go watch, The Real Ghostbusters or whatever you were into at the time.
You know what? That could be fair. I mean, that could be accurate, but also I still enjoy it when I hear Anthony or Jim go, "Oh, her womb is polluted."
Yeah, exactly.
I still laugh at that line
because it's funny. It's just you're absolutely right about Scarface being over the top and the neon wash, and I mean the violence. You know what it reminds me of, Eric? I saw it around the same time I got into Mortal Kombat. And if you go back and you look at that original Mortal Kombat, it's fairly ridiculous, and it's so explosively violent. And I think that's why I love violence so much as far as movies and video games and music and stuff like that, is because it made such an impact on me that carbon footprint was there. I don't know that it's a movie like Tor's 22, 23 years old. If he goes and watches it now, I don't know that it ages that well.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not like a movie that had good dialogue or good character acting or a story that even though it's so old that you could go back and have an appreciation for it now. It was like, let's turn a video game into with a techno music soundtrack, and then you had the one creature with multiple arms that looked like it should have been animated out of Clash of the Titans. Like it's really a terrible movie, but if you grew up when that movie was out, you have an appreciation.
You're talking Mortal Kombat. I was like, who the fuck has multiple arms in Scarface? I was like, what the fuck are you talking? I was talking about the video game, goddamn it, Eric. I wasn't talking about the fucking
about the movie.
Well, I like the movie too. Trust me, I love the Mortal Kombat movie. It's like multiple arms. Like, what does Salsa grow fucking 8 arms in that movie? Maybe you and Salsa know that he has 8 arms, Tony? I understand what you're saying. I love Scarface, and it's infinitely quotable. Like, one of the things I love about late 70s, early 80s movies is that you can just sit there and do the lines. It's one of the reasons why Jaws will never not be that movie, is you can just sit there and quote it all fucking day and have a blast with friends.
Here's the difference between Jaws and Scarface.
Well, Jaws is the best movie of all time. That's the big difference, I would say.
I'm not arguing with that. I completely agree with you. But here's the thing. Jaws is very quotable, but Jaws is not over-quoted. Jaws is not a movie that unless you know Jaws, people aren't just using it for some kind of, pop culture reference, what have you. Maybe the bigger boat line is probably the most overused on it. But Scarface, that say hello to my little friend and all that shit is just, it's constantly overused. It's used in terrible hacky comedy.
I agree.
I think that also devalues the appreciation, the specialness of the movie. Jaws, people know. Some people know the lines. A lot of people don't, but people know the movie and have the appreciation. So I think Jaws is still undervalued as far as being quotable. but it's not overexposed like Scarface.
I understand what you're saying, but if you're going to let stupid people ruin things for you in 2020, you're not going to enjoy anything. I mean, you're really...
No, I'm not saying 2020. I'm saying in the last 30 years.
I'm saying that the fans... Eric, how can you be a wrestling fan? Wrestling fans, all they do is ruin fucking everything.
I'm not. I gave up on wrestling.
I did too. And it's because of the fans, so maybe I'm being a hypocrite here.
100%.
Hey, one of the things I got to give you fucking credit for, I thought Funko Pops were the dumbest thing ever, and then I posted a link on your Facebook page the other day. If they're going to be making Frazier and Niles and Marty Crane Funko Pops, I'm all fucking in. Like, I love the fact...
I laugh every time.
What? You laugh what?
I laugh every time when I see new Funko stuff coming out that I know that I think you would like.
Right.
And that quote from you from your old show when you're talking about how stupid you thought Funko was always sits in my head because I laugh. I'm like, because look, he hates this product because everybody likes it, and I get why.
That's not true. I don't give a fuck about Dragon Ball Z and tentacle rape, and that's Tor's life. That's a generation that I'm unfamiliar with. That's what he's into. But they're making fucking Funko Pops now for Tombstone and for Unforgiven and shit like this. Now it's starting to make sense to me.
I used to send you stuff. When I had the deal with Funko, when they sent me stuff, I was sending you Jaws shit.
Yes, I like those. Thank you.
And yeah, you said the Frazier stuff's out now, and now they just released information about the new, and I know you're not really keen on this, the Kong vs. Godzilla Funko Pops are like 10, 12 inches tall, glowing blue and purple, and they look amazing. I was like, I need these.
It's not that I'm not into it. I just don't think those first three movies were very good, and I think Pacific Rim is a much better film than anything we've seen out of this monster universe thus far.
One of the things I've been complaining about those movies for the longest time, and I'm glad because I heard you say it, and then I saw Kevin Smith posted about it the other day.
He always rips me off. Kevin Smith.
Everybody is now getting to the point. I've always complained about these movies is that there's too much human story in these monster movies. The humans' involvement need to be either the military or scientists to set the table, put the monsters in place for what they need to do, and then you don't deal with them. Maybe the military's fighting the monster, but then you don't need the dialogue. You don't need to rescue somebody's daughter in the middle of Fenway Park with a helicopter and have some kind of, family bonding moment or a romance storyline while all this shit's going on. Because every Hollywood studio thinks that needs to have some kind of human feel moment. It doesn't. That's why Pacific Rim was great. You had some emotional moments, because of the connection of the cadets and I'm forgetting the guy's name.
Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, when he died, and then getting, caught into the drift and it's fucking with your mind, that kind of thing. But you're always looking for the, the hammerhead shark kaiju to come up out of the ocean and start, breaking things up, and they're swinging fucking tanker ships at
battleships. I love it. Fucking love it.
That's what you need. Get rid of the humans are there to set the table and then get out of there. Let the monsters do what they need to do.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And I'm glad that, I love Eric Davis. I had him on last week from Fandango, and he's like, there just wasn't enough human element. And I'm like, no, dude. Well, you see what they do.
Too much.
Yeah, but Eric, how do they sell Toyota Tacomas now? It's, we just had a baby, or this person's coming home from war, or our parents are sick and we've got to get, they don't even sell trucks anymore with anything but over-the-top, human emotional porn. It's like, tell me how much horsepower the motherfucker has, and I'll tell you if I want to buy it. Like, that's just all forms of, communication that we have now. Everything is over-the-top, emotionally direct-filled, and I'm sick of it. Show me the monsters fighting.
I want to see a Dodge Ram and a Ford pickup truck running at each other, playing chicken.
Yeah.
You hear the voiceovers of Dennis Leary and Mike Rowe telling you about how great these trucks are and who's going to hit each other and who's going to survive. Those are the commercials I want, because then I'm like, look, I'm in the city. I'm not even going to, I don't need a truck for where I am, but I'm really thinking about it now based on what I just saw.
Go listen to Lock and Load by Dennis Leary. I believe it came out in 1997. And he called all of this beer-flavored beer and coffee-flavored coffee. It's all fucking gone. And we just live in this cotton candy world. Eric, we got to actually get the episode ready for today. Let's go ahead and It's Erik Nagel on Twitter.
Right.
iHeartRadio for It's Erik Nagel. Of course, Would You Kindly on Compound Media. I would recommend going to the Instagram. Eric's got a very good Instagram. It is @erock Radio. That's kind of a hub. People can see all the different projects that you're working on, correct?
Right. Projects that I'm working on, toys that I'm collecting, and things that really just kind of trigger grown men for some reason they don't like my haircut. They don't like the shirts that I wear.
Bunch of Troy Kwans out there talking shit for no reason. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's all these grown white men that can't understand why I do what I do, and I think they're just secretly jealous that I live a life where I'm happy and they're not, and that's their problem. Thank you for plugging all this stuff here. You guys are listening, whether this is on the free episode or if this is on the subscription episode of Chad Duke's radio show. If you're on the free episode, go to the website right now, subscribe to this show, because look what you're missing here. You're missing this dialogue.
Love this.
You're missing tentacle stuff from Tor there.
Tentacle sex. Lots of hot tentacle sex from Tor.
It's a small niche, demographic.
I don't need one of my heroes saying that.
Their money is good. We're not here to turn down anybody's money. We want all their money. And real quick, Tor, you said something last week about people love the Transformers movies. No, they didn't.
No, they fucking don't.
They went to the first movie because they were curious, like, wow, this hasn't been done before. And then you're hearing just low-grade sound effects and bass lines and all these. There's metal flying everywhere. You don't know what robot is what. Optimus Prime had fucking lips. That's how.
Oh, it was so annoying. The only thing more annoying than that is Batman and Robin having nipples. That's the only thing worse than Optimus Prime's lips.
The equivalent. Batman's nipples and Optimus Prime's lips.
Fuck that.
Put them on the same creature, and it's really fucking creepy. But it's something Tor, I think, would jack off.
Hey, you just shoot a load.
Yeah, the final thing is you said Tenet. I agree with you. I just rented it the other night, and I understand what you're talking about. I will give one scene a lot of props. Is the suntan lotion scene on the deck of the boat.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing. The rest of the movie was just a big fucking headache.
God, I mean, just herky-jerky, moving in reverse and not explaining things is what that movie was. I love Nolan, but he's been getting weirder and weirder. I didn't care for Dunkirk and Interstellar as much as I did all the Batman movies and the fucking Inception. So
one thing to keep in mind, though, with Nolan is that, look, he's doing weird shit, and I know everyone's like, I don't know, whatever. But he's not rebooting stuff.
I completely agree.
Let him do all the weird shit he wants to do. He's earned it, whether you like it or not. I'm sure people out there do like it, or maybe you come around to it. Maybe it's a bit avant-garde. It takes you a while, and then eventually you warm up to it. But let him and other directors keep doing this weird stuff and out-of-the-box stuff instead of rebooting everything and remaking everything. Give us some brand new stuff, whether we like it or not. That's how art works, and eventually it will hit, and it'll find its audience. Keep doing all the weird shit.
I agree.
Chad, do that with your show, too.
I'm trying. Him and Tarantino fucking Tarantino's got to put 1,000 women's bare feet in all of his movies, but if I got to put up with that so he keeps making fucking gonzo-ass rated R movies, I'm all in. Eric,
I can't wait to see his new Star Trek movie with O'Hara's foot upright on the console there while Kirk walks by.
Know he's going to run a batch to it. Also, Eric, you're going to make the free show this week, so don't you worry about that. And let's get you on a regular basis, man. We chew too much of the same dirt not to just shoot the shit every once in a while.
Sure, let's do that.
Let's do it. Check him out, Erock Radio on Instagram. He does a bunch of shows. And, of course, go to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/It's Erik Nagel. The Great Erock, everybody, on Chad Dukes versus what the fuck? It's the Chad Dukes show.
You do that a lot.
I do. It's a fucking... What do you think? It's muscle memory, man. I fucking... I was recently fired from that gig. It is it's the Chad Dukes show.
Make sure you sign up for the Chad Duke Show mailing list on ChadDukeShow.com. Be the first to know what's happening on the program and maybe even win a prize or two. We promise we won't fill up your inbox with tasteful nudes. Well, we promise we'll truly make an effort not to.
It is the Chad Dukes show, and it is mere days before the biggest game of the season. No one on earth better to discuss that than my brother from another mother, host of the Sean Salisbury Show on Sports Talk 790, mornings in H-Town, the iHeart Radio app. He is now on Cameo. I can't think of anybody that's going to be a better value to book on Cameo than my guy, Sean Salisbury. Check him out there and check him out here on the Chad Dukes Show. What's up, Sals? How are you, buddy?
Not much, man. I'm doing good. And you know what? My value, I'm not like, you don't have to spend $250 for me to give you like a minute-long happy birthday. I'll sing, I'll dance, I'll talk nonsense. Mine's a lot cheaper. And I'll probably give you more, when they say, you keep it to a minute, I'll probably give you 3 more minutes than I would probably than somebody who's spending all that money. The truth is, like, if you can get Justin Timberlake, you go ahead and get him. But I'm there for you if you want some nonsense talk. I just got a new one today, so I'm gonna send that one out, so it'll be kind of cool, man. I enjoy it. It's fun to, you know me, man. I love to interact with the fans and people, and I love interacting with you. And I'm glad you're feeling better, brother. It's good to have you on.
Thank you, Sal. Very kind, and you were very nice and checked in on me several times during going through COVID. I really do appreciate that. And here's what I can tell you, Sal. You want to move cameos to my listening audience, all you got to do is drop an F-bomb. You cursed a couple times the last time I had you on because I was like, hey, this is uncensored. I got so much positive feedback. Holy shit, it's so great to hear Salisbury curse when he's talking fun. People really seem to like it when you dabble in a little bit of profanity.
You'd be like, pre-warning, so if you're 16-year-old or you're 12-year-old or 10-year-olds listening, I'm going to cuss here for a second. It's kind of like when I played and my coordinator or quarterback coach and you drop back. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck did you just do? Well, coach, I threw it to three guys standing by one. My bad. Okay. Yeah. It's like remember when I don't know if it was Barstool. They do so many funny things and great things, where like when you miss I've done this a million times on a golf course. Here's the one I always ask myself, and are you fucking kidding me? Miss a 4-foot putt that's straight down. It's right uphill easy, and you're like, what? I just lost $500 in a skins game to my kid. Are you? Yeah, exactly. So the reason why it's not a cuss word to me is because it's like being in the bunker. I was in it all the time.
Oh, sure.
I heard it all the time from opposing coach. So. And I'm trying to learn how to cuss, like, even though I don't cuss, I'm trying not to around kids or around women and all that. And on these shows, it's kind of fun, and I wouldn't do it on TV. I'd be respectful,
of course,
obviously, but all in good fun. But, it's like, man, every now and then, like I've always said, and you and I have discussed, I think, in the past, a good cuss word like a De Niro F-bomb, or like when Sam Jackson slings, it's like, it's actually soul cleansing. All right, as long as you don't do it in a stupid place where you get yourself in trouble. So I can do it on here because this is a stupid place, and you and I are on it, which makes it a stupid place and an ignorant spot because you're a lot smarter than me. But this is where I can do it, and I appreciate the platform to drop an F-bomb, which I won't get to do the rest of the day until, again, I miss a 4-foot putt,
and then
which
it's
will
coming
happen sooner than later.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think that's why I like Die Hard with a Vengeance so much, Sal's, because you got Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis, who are two of the best F-bomb droppers in the history of mankind.
Oh, absolutely. Now that's not going to prevent you from loading this on iTunes or anything. You still get credit for it, right? But me cussing, okay. I just want to make sure, I don't want to cut into the $40 that you'd make over the next 5 years on my stupid ass podcast compared to $4 million from somebody else. So there you go.
We're doing all right over here. I would. I was watching. I know people don't know you're a big movie buff, and I got to get. There's so much in football to get to, but I was thinking of you the other night. I was watching this flick called Little Things, and it's Denzel Washington and Jared Leto, and there's a bunch of people. And it's not a great movie, Sals, but I was thinking about you because I think we've had this conversation. There are actors where it doesn't matter how shitty the movie is. I just enjoy watching them. And Denzel, even now that he's a little bit older, he definitely checks that box for me. I don't think that movie was that great, but it's just so much fun watching him act. Liam Neeson is another one. Like, I could watch him throat chop motherfuckers for the rest of my life and be entertained by it. Give me the actor that even if it's not a really good movie, you're always going to be entertained because it's that dude.
Well, you just named two of them. I'll watch Liam Neeson play an Irishman, a killer on a train.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm with you. If it comes on, I'm watching it. And I'll tell you what. Now, I'm not normally like this, but the John Wick series, I'll just keep Keanu Reeves. He says like 9 words in the movie, but I'll just watch.
Of course.
Right? And he seems like such a good dude with all the money he does. I mean, I'm a big fan of his, although I don't think he's a great actor by any stretch. But I'm with you on this. It's true that Denzel Washington could do a remake of the Mickey Rourke, Don Johnson, Harley Davidson, and the Marlboro Man, which was a putrid movie. Okay, but if Denzel was in it, not only would I watch it, you'd at least be able to, the 2 thumbs up, you'd at least be able to give 1 thumb up, right? Oh, it's Denzel. So I'm telling you, there is not for instance, when Hanks and what was a movie when they were sitting in a horrible old school movie? Was it Hanks and Daryl Hannah? Was it Hank? Was it Hanks and Meg Ryan? Not in Sleepless in Seattle. There was another one.
You Got Mail?
No. That was a decent movie.
Okay.
Look at Tom Hanks. I'll go through it, but there's one. It was putrid, right? And there's certainly, and yet Tom Hanks is a good actor, but even that one, I couldn't overcome the movie, and it's like, this is bad.
Right.
Okay. And I'm gonna try to find it here while we're going through this. And Well, yeah. Joe and the Volcano.
Oh, Joe versus the Volcano.
Horrible,
terrible movie.
Horrible. Yet Denzel, and as good as Tom Hanks is with his acting and all his awards, and the Daniel Day-Lewises of the world, Denzel would make me say, "Damn, he might probably turn this into a good watch." Dude, there is nothing that Denzel Washington's done. You may not love them all, but that's why I'm having a hard time watching this new series that's coming on TV. That he's been in the last few movies where he's the fixer. What's the name of it?
The Equalizer.
The Equalizer.
Yeah.
That I'm having, and I think she's funny as hell. But Queen Latifah, I'm having trouble picturing her. I haven't seen it yet as the Equalizer, knowing what Denzel Washington was as the Equalizer.
Yeah,
now she may be just as good, but there's no movie. I'm with you. If you said it, I think he's still, and there's some good ones. If you want to know that you're going to make money at the box office, regardless of the script, Denzel Washington has to be your hire.
Yeah, I agree. And there's movies. He's in a movie called Deja Vu that's absolutely ridiculous, but because he's in it, it's awesome.
Yep.
Out of Time's another one. You're right. It's
just underrated, highly underrated movie with Out of Time with when he's the cop and he has to cover something up because of the. When he went out there and was that New Orleans? Was that in the sort of Florida?
In the bayou.
It was? Yeah.
Well, he's a great alcoholic too. Like in Flight or in Man on Fire, whatever. He's like a slobbering drunk. He plays that really well. Also,
dude, he's a bad man. There you go. There's nothing he does that you don't. All those movies you just named, like Man on Fire. Well, what a great friggin' movie that was as a drunk. Protector, right? And then cleans his life up and saves lives. I think Denzel Washington is one of the finest we've ever had doing it, let alone currently.
Yep. Even if the movie's not too great, it's worth watching because that dude's in it. God, I got so much to ask you about. I'm going to have limited time here. All right. So
just roll, man. We'll go.
Well, let's start here, Sals. You're knee deep in the Deshaun Watson controversy. Brett Favre is the latest to chime in. A lot of people Joe Theismann here locally kind of said something similar to what Brett Favre said. It's like, hey, this isn't the way to go about it. But what I wanted to ask you is, since we've had you on the show, the first big trade of the season goes down. The Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, the first round picks, Detroit, Los Angeles. I have seen people go back and forth on this, Sals. Do you think that impacts what the hard deck for compensation for Deshaun Watson is going to be? I think everybody knows that unloading Goff's contract was a big part of what Los Angeles gave up.
Sure.
But if I'm looking for compensation, I'm not acknowledging that. I'm saying, like, we need at least what got given up from Matt Stafford. Do you think it affects what's going on with Deshaun Watson?
I think we were going to get far more than that anyway. So when people say, well, look at Matt Stafford, well, Sean McVay obviously covets Matt Stafford. So to them, it was a lot to give up. And, Detroit, if they can do something with these picks, great. And if Jared Goff can refine himself and has a little peace and happiness, fine. But I love what Sean McVay said. He goes, I'm not worried about winning the trade. I'm worried about winning a Super Bowl. And the truth is, it's an upgrade. I'll bet you the first 8 weeks of the season next year, I'll bet you we're talking about Matt Stafford in the MVP hunt. Now, whether it's 16, if he can last, I don't know. But he'll put up numbers. They'll push the ball down the field. And he's going to have some stuff going on with Sean McVay. Matt Stafford's going to be like, I cannot believe I get to hang around my best buddy, Clayton Kershaw. I'm in Los Angeles. I get to come here in this new facility, and I get to hopefully have fans by that time rip it around with this play caller. And I actually have some players around me, like the best – maybe the best football player in Aaron Donald. I got Jalen Ramsey. I got some receivers. I got Cooper. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's good. But as far as giving up enough, or did they, some are going to say too much. Well, it'll be too much if 3 years from now they're not in the Super Bowl, or Matt Stafford, they were 9-7 or 8-8. And if Detroit turns it in, listen, I'm one of those guys. I'm not worried about 8 years from now. I'm not. I'm worried. Listen, Sean McVay wants to win. He thought it was an upgrade, and they gave up a lot to get him. And yes, salary dump comes into it. But the truth is, you're not just going to give away first-round picks to go get a guy you didn't think was an upgrade. And they think it's an upgrade. And I think it started back at the Super Bowl. When the pressure, he didn't play well. It seemed like he was a little overwhelmed. I root for success for Jared Goff, but he was it felt like he was in over his head at times in the game, which is normal, which the normal human being that's not Tom Brady or Mahomes, they feel that. And so, yes, they gave up a lot. But if you feel like, I always say this in the draft or the player, do you love him? Yep. Trade for him. Do you love him? Yep. Is he an upgrade? Yep. Then draft him. Don't worry about, my value says he's the 8th pick. If you're at the 5th pick and you love him, draft his ass. I don't care if he's the 8th guy on the board. If you love him, draft him, especially at that position. So I don't think it actually – I know people are getting caught up in, this makes Deshaun Watson worth 5 or 6 ones. He was worth 4 or 5 ones Matt Stafford or not. So no matter what anybody says, you're getting more than 2 1s, more than a player, and more than a number 2 for Deshaun Watson, regardless of where he goes, unless it was they traded Trevor Lawrence and a 1 and a 2 for him. But other than that, if he's going, it'll be a haul that'll be bigger than the Matt Stafford haul. That just enhanced the fact that, well, see, look what Deshaun's worth. But I don't think it affected the fact that knowing Deshaun Watson was worth a couple more first-rounders than Matt Stafford anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. I always just, it's interesting because when you look at what's I don't fault anyone, Sal's, for giving up anything for a quarterback at this point. I mean, look at who's in the Super Bowl. Look who's in the NFC, AFC championship games. It's the teams with the best quarterbacks. Anyone that still does the bit, well, the Ravens did it with defense, the front 4 of the Giants. And yeah, that's all great. How many Super Bowls does J.J. Watt have, or Khalil Mack, or Aaron Donald? You got to go and you got to take a big swing. The Buccaneers did it. And if you're going to sit there and say that Deshaun Watson isn't worth 3 first-round draft picks, I need you to explain that to me, because nobody gives up their draft picks more than the Los Angeles Rams. They made a Super Bowl. They're always in the playoffs. I'm all for building through the draft, but if you have to sacrifice that because there's a quarterback available that you think might be one of the best in the game, you got to do whatever you can to go get that guy.
If you were Sean McVay and you felt there, or if you were, let's just say you're Sean Payton. I love that name, Sean. Seems like the best people in the world are named Sean. Anyway, Sean Payton, right? If you're Sean Payton and they called you up, even though the Jameis that he makes, they commit to him or whatever if he stays there. But if Green Bay called up and said, hey, listen, just give us 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s for Aaron Rodgers, you'd have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 36, 37, you'd have to do it because you're thinking, if I win just 1 Super Bowl over the next 5 years, it's a win. And I can't be guaranteed that some first round pick at number 20 is going to be that good. I don't know. I'm with you. I always say it, man. That sometimes you got to, in order to go big, you got to get rid of big, man. And that's the way it works. So whether it's Watson or anybody else, and you hit it. I know 2-14 teams that have the best disruptor in the league. J.J. Watt's been on a 2-14 or 3-13 team as like a defensive player of the year candidate. Mm. That's not diminishing them at all. At all. Well, look what happens. Nick Bosa was dominant for 3 quarters in the Kansas City Chiefs game last year. Jimmy Garoppolo goes 3 of 11 in the 4th quarter. They lose. So, listen, give me the 10th best quarterback in the league. He'll be more important to our success long term than the best pass rusher will. It's just, in most cases, there's always the aberration. But if you told me right now, okay, Sean, let's go with, give me somebody, let's say Lamar Jackson or Myles Garrett over the next 5 years, you're going to take Lamar Jackson. You just are, because he's going to impact the game more. He just does. Not that, I mean, he's got the ball in his hands 65, 70 times, and I don't think Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. If you wouldn't trade, if you were the Arizona Cardinals, you wouldn't trade Kyler Murray for Myles Garrett in a first-round pick. Mm-mm. You wouldn't do it.
No.
Because you're trying to find the quarterback. Everybody works to find the quarterback their whole career, and then when you get him, why the hell would you give him up? And I'm with Sean McVay 100%. Okay, we don't have draft picks, and I'll find a way. If I got to trade somebody to get another one somewhere along the line, let's go win. Why I'm not – listen, it's like hoarding stuff. Why do I want to hoard picks when I'm trying to win a Super Bowl? Matt Stafford, he believes, and I think it's an upgrade, gives you a better chance than Jared Goff did, and why not capitalize on it? Okay, so you gave up a pick. Good. Then 3 years from now, there'll be another one, okay? Or go trade for one. By that time, maybe Aaron Donald will want to be moved, and you'll move him for 2-1. Who knows? So, to me, you got to have the quarterback, and we're no longer – the 2000 Ravens defense doesn't exist in this league. The 85 Bears defense doesn't exist in this league. This league is built around offense and throwing. Now, you're going to have to get a couple stops in the game, but an average quarterback ain't beating either one of these teams. I don't care how good the defense plays. Average quarterback ain't beating you, period.
You can always donate to The Chad Dukes Show using the Donate tab on ChadDukesShow.com. You'll help us keep improving the product, and you'll earn yourself a verbal nod on the next episode. We thank you for your support, friendos.
Ask you about this, Tor. We have of course, the arcade one-up machines here at the Fortress of Solid Dudes. I was more than happy to fork over my credit card and get those in here for people's enjoyment when they're here. And I've been spending a lot of time, as you know, watching streamers, watching game streamers, where I was never into that before. I excoriated people that did it or enjoyed it. As again, I'd like to apologize to Loud Goat. He's at the forefront of that. I have mocked him mercilessly the entire time I've known him because he loves professional street. I believe he watches Street Fighter. I think that's his go-to. But I've been really enjoying it as of late. And it's made me nostalgic. I don't know if you've seen some of the posts on the Facebook page, but I posted about my arcade that I used to go to when I was a youngster, and it was in Springfield Mall, Springfield, Virginia, and it was called Time Out. And we actually had two of them. There was Time Out 1, which was upstairs, Time Out 2, which was downstairs by the food court. So it was this migration. We would go to the mall on Friday nights, and one was in the far upper left-hand corner of the mall, and the other was in the far lower right-hand. They always had different games. So you'd start in Time Out 1, and then you would hit Suncoast Video, I would hit Another Universe, I would hit Aeropostale, like all the things a young dude would want to go to. Structure. You'd go into Structure. Generally, it was a little too expensive in Structure. There was an Abercrombie and Fitch, but there was Sam Goody, Kent Mill Records, Waxy Maxie's, all these different places. Nobody beats the Wiz. And then, of course, I would hit KB and K&K Toys. We had 2 toy stores, 2 movie theaters, and 2 arcades. Springfield Mall, one of a kind. But like a lot of things, because you're a bit of an old soul, Tor, I always forget how young you are. So I was thinking about it as I was watching. I was like, Tor's frame of reference for an arcade. If somebody asked you, hey, picture an arcade in your brain, I bet you would think of a Dave & Buster's type of environment. Like, I bet that you would think of one of those giant places. I think Jillian's was another one. There's 2 or 3 of those different places. Did you have any exposure to a traditional walk into an arcade, bunch of stand-up, skee ball in the back, pervert with the jiggy on the front? You give him $1, he give you 4 quarters that came out of his dick. Like, do you have any reference for that?
I do, and the first thing that does come to my mind, unfortunately, is Dave & Buster's, but I have been to real arcades. My mom, as I've said before on the show, we are a get in and get out family when we were going to buy things. So on one occasion, though, I remember we were in Springfield Mall.
Really?
We asked, me and my sisters were like, can we go to Time Out, please? And we've asked,
What year do you think this was?
I was probably 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
And we had been rejected countless times, but, we got to keep on asking. Got to keep on chasing that goal. We got in. She said, yeah, go ahead. Take 20 minutes in there. I lost it. I lost my mind.
Really?
It was so much fun. Just because it was dark and it was everything. All the lights were popping off
and
everywhere.
The sounds.
The
sounds are the best.
And it was weird. I had the experience where I saw games that I had played on the PS2 just in arcade form. So I'm just sitting there like, this is a completely different way of playing the games that I've normally played with a controller. It was just outstanding. But whenever we've been to New Jersey, we do the boardwalk, play all those games. I mean, that's right up my alley. All the games, all that stuff, skee ball, just I can't get enough of it.
Well, that's interesting too, because you mentioned PlayStation 2. It kind of gives me a sense of the timeline. One of the reasons why the arcade was such a big deal when I was young is that if you were lucky enough to have, it wasn't when I was a kid, Tor, not everybody had Genesis. Not everybody had Super Nintendo. As a matter of fact, it was not uncommon that there'd be 5 or 6 kids that would just go over to somebody's house because they had one of the things.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like every kid's got a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Nintendo or maybe all 3. The reason why it was so special, one of the reasons, you mentioned a lot of them, the smells, the sights, whatever. Like an arcade is a very unique environment when you're inside of it. But the games were better. They had those massive cabinets, so the graphics were better, the sound, everything. It was more immersive. That's all gone. Like whatever you have now on your PlayStation 4 or your Xbox One, I'm not even talking about the new systems. It just crushes whatever an arcade game could bring you. The only reason to play them now is somewhat of nostalgia. And I've noticed that playing the arcade 1-up machines. Like, they're fun, but the replay value isn't what it once was because now you spend $60 on Assassin's Creed, you're getting 120 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's unique. So I do have a lot of... I don't know. I mean, I know that there are things that I missed out because I was born when I was born, like the Milkman or going and fucking, playing sandlot baseball, like the way that people were starting to get scared of child molesters more when I was a kid. And now I feel like that's all we talk about. Even though there can't be more child molesters, I think there's the conversation that we have about child molesters is endless now. So it is on news all day. So we're more scared. I don't know how we got to child molesters. The guy with the quarters by his dick. He probably was a child molester. But my fucking mom would drop us off at like 6 o'clock. The mall would close at 9:30, whatever. And we would just be there by ourselves. So the arcade kind of represented freedom, I think, as well. Is like, oh, wow, Mamo's not going to be around. And I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. There was no way she would let me play Mortal Kombat if she knew what was going on in there. And yet there I was watching it with my crank in my hand. Like, it was just such a seminal moment. And I'll never forget it. It's one of those things where I video stores, videotape rental stores. I'm guessing you didn't do that, right? Did you ever rent tapes from Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Errol's, any place like that?
We did. There was
that is shocking to me too.
There was a Hollywood Video GameStop combo.
Yes.
On Route 1 that my family would go. We go Friday night. Go ahead, or before a road trip, we'd get because we had the old little VCR or DVD. Player, the portable one. Okay, get some of this for the road trip because we're not going to listen to you all fight in the background.
Sure.
The entire time. We go in there and you're just looking around at all the movies. It was awesome.
You're oozing white privilege. You know, you expose yourself when you talk about the fact that you had a DVD player in the minivan. I mean, that's just, to me, you're part of the 1% and part of the problem, Tor, as I've always said.
It wasn't a built-in one. It was the just a little portable joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
You could still pass as a commoner then, I suppose. See, I don't know. I lose track of how long Redbox has been around. Like, I remember, Redbox has been around now, I feel, for 15 years. You know, it's been a long time. And that was really, before video on demand started happening, that was what really started eating into people going into video stores. I remember switching from tapes to VHS. I remember vividly the stores having both of them in there. I worked at Hollywood Video. I've talked about that many times. It's one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. But the part where I feel bad for kids is walking into an arcade and seeing a new game is incredibly exciting. Like, you get kind of a different energy. I hate it when people say it hits different, but it does. Friday night, when you're hanging out with your friends or whatever, walking into the video store and looking for the new releases and seeing, oh, wow, they got Broken Arrow in with Christian Slater and John Travolta. I'm going to get a copy of that. Well, I'm going to have to wait for them to bring the basket in. That's gone. Like, everything is just immediately at the tips of your fingers. And I'm not even saying it's bad. You know, I love the fact that the coffee machine, when I was 19 and working at Home Depot, my coffee machine sucked. It was it was $20. It was a Mr. Coffee. All the coffee tasted like shit. It was chock full of nuts or Folgers or Maxwell House, and that's a taster's choice. That's all you had. Now I got a fucking coffee maker where I'm making fresh beans. It's delicious whole bean coffee. Grinds it, filterless. It's tremendous. Like, I don't want to shit on technology, but I was thinking about the arcade, and I'm like, man, it's kind of a bummer that everybody born probably your age and after is not even going to understand, like, why arcades are so cool. Like, when people like me start getting into our 60s and 70s and croaking, I think that's just going to go away, because what young person's going to say, why is this giant clunky inferior machine? Why would I spend any time with this when I've got, this PlayStation 5 at home? I'm just worried that's all going to go away.
I don't know. I mean, I think the real key component is being able to do it with your friends. And I believe that Xbox Live and then being able to play the games with your friends over the new consoles is it's the key factor. That's what you want to do. You go to the arcade with your friends, everybody's losing their minds, you're running around getting, putting in your tokens. But with the ability to have all of your friends on the headset together and then playing the game, I feel like that's the key component. So if some place could say, hey, I don't know how it's going to develop, but I mean, the arcade, for me, it was, okay, we're all going to go do this together. We're going to have fun. So I think the biggest key, but I'm a multiplayer gamer, basically.
See, it's funny to hear you, but I think that's a big difference too. I don't want that. Like, when I play games, I like to sit, I like to be alone, which is weird because I'm going to start streaming. So, like, there's going to be a bunch of fucking people in the room. But I even think that's somewhat different. I hate the online multiplayer stuff. It's just, well, maybe I would enjoy it again if I had what you're talking about, like a group. For a while there, especially when like Gears of War was at the height of its powers, I had a group of like 8 to 10 dudes, and we'd jump on every night and have beers and play together, and like that was a shitload of fun. Like I really enjoyed that. The second you introduce a stranger's ability to get into your group or to compete against, and they can interact with you, fuck that forever. Like, fuck that in its mouth, dying on the floor. I don't want to have I don't like being in a situation where an asshole is speaking to me into my ears and I have no control over what they're saying, because 9 times out of 10, it's never going to be good. So that part of it also, I think it's a different mindset too. But also, you guys have grown up. How long has multiplayer games been around? Like, that's new. Like, I remember Halo 2, we were in Baltimore doing radio, and Oscar and I were fucking talking about getting on and playing with listeners, and it was brand new. Like, it was something that wasn't just widely available to everyone.
I think Madden 11 was my first experience with the multiplayer, but I mean, that was just me playing franchise by myself, and then it was around right before Black Ops 3 dropped is when I really formed my group, and we played every single night until 1 a.m.
Yeah, but that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't. But but before then, it would be I'd sit down there, I'd play and listen to whatever I have on my phone, and now that's kind of sticks with me. Like listening to Earl get a promotion and the staff gets enraged, like that. That's
Black Earl.
Yeah.
From the Ron and Fez show. That's a great video.
It's a 10 for me because I could just turn off and listen to that and just grind for diamond camos.
It's just a 10. Like if you are a fan of talk radio, that segment is just a 10 out of 10. Pepper and Eastside Dave are just excoriating him, which is a lot of fun. I don't know, for some reason that hit me as I was sitting there. I was playing Mortal Kombat and watching someone else play Mortal Kombat and thinking, wow, you're a loser. That was my first thought, but then I was also like, wow, I don't even know. Like, if I didn't have the exposure to Mortal Kombat when I was going to arcades, would it mean as much to me here? And it probably would.
The Chad Duke Show merchandise store is up and running, so click the shop tab on ChadDukeShow.com for show t-shirts and koozies.
Thank you to Sean Salisbury. Thank you to Erik Nagel. Thank you to all of you for checking out the Chad Duke Show this week. Again, this is just a little sampler. I mean, I think you get an idea of what the show is all about. We're all about having fun. You want all your political talk. You want all your COVID talk. You want all that shit. You can find it everywhere else. Every commercial, every television show, every movie. That's what it's about nonstop. We're just trying to have some fun over here. And if you're looking for that, you want to turn the brain off a little bit and have it leak out of the side of your ear, this is the show for you, most assuredly. Big thank you to Monk's Barbecue, our presenting sponsor in Purcellville. Can't recommend enough, now that it is Friday, head on out this weekend. And look, they got a sampler platter called the Boss Hog. Get that for your Super Bowl platter. Why wouldn't you do? Enough with the Totinos and the pizza bagels. Fuck all that, man. Go out to Monk's, get some proper food. The pastrami brisket, bacon on a stick. They got the smashed potatoes. I had the smoked bologna panini this past week, Tor. My God. You were having a Santa Fe salad, and I was having a smoked bologna panini. And I was thinking about you as I was doing it.
Well, that's... No. I'm just building up with a ton of envy that have not made it out there.
Well, we're going to make it out this next coming week. I think we have to. But the rest of you make it out this weekend. You can have yourself a snort of delicious whiskey. They got all kinds of craft beers. They got 1 million tequilas. It's just the best. Love Monk's Barbecue. Tonight, the Hootenanny. Told you about that. Facebook Live. If you're listening to this on a Friday, make sure you circle back around with us, because we'll be live on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. Free show for you to watch. Facebook.com/Chad Duke Show. We will crown a brand new King of the Dudes for the Fortress of Solid Dudes. Well, isolated, that sounds a little strange, but it's what we do, and it's all we do on the Chad Duke Show. I'm pouring champagne. All right, so this is free. Tell a friend. Give them a little sampler pattern. Check out the show. Subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review. And, of course, you like what you hear and you like more of it, we do shows every single day at 2 p.m. All you got to do is lay a couple of sawbucks down on the table. Hell, we're going to save you money. You're going to cancel all the subscriptions. You're going to sign up for the Chad Dukes
Show. Just go to ChadDukeShow.com. Get it done for yourself. You deserve it. Thank you to everybody that's already signed up. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the bowl. We'll be back here, of course, tonight for the Hootenanny. Saturday, brand new show debuting on ChadDukeShow.com called Chambridge and Man. You'll like that as well. All subscribers will have access to that. And brand new episodes on Monday. So if the good Lord is willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll meet you back here then. Roll out the trash cans.